Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We've got a lot of stuff to unpack on the program tonight. Full throttle. We got Major League Baseball, college football, NHL hockey, NFL football, WNBA finals are going on right now as we speak. And like all these games in this series, it's a close one. 80-80 right now with 17 seconds remaining. Meanwhile, the Bronx Bombers and New York Yankees have exploded and have taken a 6-2 lead over the Cleveland Guardians. The New York Mets live to play another day. Grimace and company will be going back to Chavez Ravine Sunday night and potentially Monday night for a potential Game 7. These scripts can flip on a dime. All right? You could be up until you're not. You're the man until you're not the man. And, the Los Angeles Dodgers were dominant. Suddenly the Mets are playing with house money right now. They've got nothing to lose going back to Los Angeles. And Manaea really looked great against the Mets when the Mets took on the Dodgers earlier in the series. Manaea really baffles left-handed hitters, including Ohtani, and Ohtani just couldn't get there. So, we got a series going on in the National League right now. College football. A lot of people are wondering, how are the Ducks going to respond after the massive win over Ohio State? Sort of a classic letdown spot tonight, going into West Lafayette, into Purdue. 21-0 Ducks. The Ducks, are clearly the better football team. I'm surprised they're actually not up by 35, considering how bad Purdue is and how poorly Purdue's offense played. Coach Terry Bowden's going to step up and join us. And we'll get his thoughts on the BYU Cougar Oklahoma State Cowboy football game. I don't think a lot of people thought that, and how many people thought the BYU Cougars going to be undefeated? Yet I told you guys they weren't going to be intimidated going in to a new conference. BYU have always played one of the tougher schedules in the country over the years. They really, as an independent before, they really were willing to play anybody, anywhere, at any time, and they'd own up to it. Not to mention, BYU are older than like half of the NFL teams are. Okay, so they're also like you got grown men on the BYU Cougars, and let's be real, the Big 12 is watered down right now. Texas aren't there. Oklahoma aren't there right now. You have all these other newcomers in this league. UCF, Cincinnati, right? If you're BYU, you're not intimidated by K-State, right? No disrespect to K-State. Good program, right? But I'm just stating, BYU, it's not such a big surprise to me that BYU are doing as well as they are. 6-0 straight up, and they're also 6-0 against the spread. They've covered the point spread in every football game. We've got Bowman is out as well for Oklahoma State tonight, so they got a young quarterback in place. The point spread is 8.5 right now in the game. The total is 53.5. This game kicks off in about 10 minutes' time. I'm not getting in front of BYU, one of the toughest places in the country to play. We'll ask the coach about this, about the altitude as well, I think comes into play for a lot of teams. And don't forget, too, we were talking about this last week with Coach Bowden about familiarity, and, it's a different adventure for schools. You get used to the road trips. We've been here before. We go there all the time. It's not that far. It's a bus ride away. It's an hour charter away. BYU's not a natural place for a lot of these teams, and especially the Big 12 traditional teams, right? Kids from Oklahoma don't go to Utah very often and play on a Friday night. And I got to tell you, too, because people always talk about, wow, fans, they're going to be really lit up. And, and it's true, but wasted fans don't help you win. Because how many times are the fans all lit up, and in the second half, they're all passed out, and they're all, they're out of gas because they went to college game day in the morning and they've been drinking all day. These Mormons don't let up, man. Like, for people that don't, there's not a drop of alcohol in that stadium. I don't even think you're allowed to drink a Pepsi, all right? Like, not a drop of alcohol in that stadium, yet it's loud, man. It's like Mormon loud, like loud. And it's a tough-ass place to play. I think Oklahoma State are up against it tonight. I think BYU are going to roll them. And I tell you what, a quick one, too. Fresno State and Nevada. This one kicks off at 10:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Pacific. Fresno State are 3-point favorites here. Nevada, man, people thought Nevada were going to win one game this year. People thought Nevada were going to win 2 games this year. If you guys remember, SMU were nearly like 30-point favorites on the road in week 1 against Nevada. Nevada gave them all that they can handle, and Nevada has given people all they can handle pretty much on a weekly basis this year. And in fact, you can't bet on reputation. Don't bet on power rankings of what the team was supposed to be before the year. You bet on what you see right now. Well, what I see right now is a team that plays hard every week up there in Reno. Give me the Nevada Wolfpack plus 3 points tonight, hosting Fresno State. Fresno State are kind of underachieving this year. They had to late coaching change before the season started. So we got a full house. Rob Vino's going to step up and in from Philadelphia, a fellow Dodger fan. Rough night for the Dodgers, but sets up for Game 6 on Sunday. Tony Finn joins us from Las Vegas, Nevada. Lou Gamlu joins us from Arizona. Coach Bowden will step up and in. The Raging Redhead Cam Stewart in the house. And I know the Coach Bowden's not going to be very happy about the football game going on right now at Duke, as Duke Blue Devils are up 23-16 right now, under 5 minutes remaining in this game. So there's still some racetrack left here. NFL football, big weekend in the National Football League this weekend. We got some big-time games this week. Divisional games, Green Bay and Houston, interconference big-time games. Russell Wilson will be starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, we've heard a lot of people say throughout the week, well, I don't want to question Mike Tomlin. He's had so much success. And that is true, but I think it's still fair to question why start Russell Wilson against this New York Jet defense. He hasn't played a football game in basically a year's time. And I really didn't see what Justin Fields did to lose this job. And Justin Fields, saying all the right things, saying, hey, if I played better, this never would have happened. That's the right thing to say publicly, but I don't think that's the truth. We all know the National Football League is as political as the elections are, okay? And he who gets paid the most plays, right? They paid Russell Wilson a ton of money. They're not paying Justin Fields anything. They picked up Justin Fields off a scrap heap. They don't owe him anything. They don't owe him a ton of money. They're paying him like $3 million a year. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson was their supposed guy coming into the year. I think they're overthinking things. I can't help but think going back to, remember Doug Flutie? Doug Flutie was playing well with the Buffalo Bills. Ralph Wilson said, nah, you know what? I'm paying Rob Johnson. I want Rob Johnson to play. Yeah, but sir, we're winning football. Yeah, I want Rob Johnson. Yeah, but sir, all right. Although it wasn't Rob Johnson's fault, that stupid Music City Miracle thing that I maintain to this day, that was a forward pass. Anthony Richardson back for the Indianapolis Colts this week. We had the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Niners can tell you that it's just another game. It's not just another game. You've lost to this same team in the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 5 years. All right? You can't tell me that it's just another game. And if it is just another game to you, then I think you've got a problem. If you're not getting up, even more so for the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that, if you lose to a team in the Super Bowl, that's the definition of taking food off your table. Like I said earlier in the week, it's like you're taking money out of your pockets. As I said, maybe if Kansas City doesn't win the Super Bowls, it's George Kittle dating Taylor Swift right now, right? The whole thing is flipped, right? Everything is turned on its head. But man, we got an awesome weekend of sports coming up this weekend. Great time of the year, and we haven't even gotten to Georgia and Texas. Big time game in Austin. We got a big time weekend of football in the SEC. The defending national champion Michigan Wolverines look to get back on track, coming off their bye week in Illinois. We're all fired up, wearing the old school uniforms. We're fired up. Let's roll.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's roll. This is SportsRage, Sirius XM, channel 159 on the SportsGrid radio and television networks, of course. We're going to cut the small talk because it's one of our favorite times of the week. It's the Bowden Blitz. We're going to get some music for this rolling next week. Come on. It's the Bowden Blitz. Coach Terry Bowden, former Coach of the Year, joins us. The legend, Coach. It's always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing? Another night of college football, huh?
Yeah, we got some great football on. I'm missing it right now, but I'll be right back on it because we've got some games going on right now that are super.
Yeah, so your former, the team that's close to your heart, Florida State, down to Duke right now. And one of these rivalries, I mean, Florida State owned Duke for forever, ever. But we see now, Coach, 32-0.
They've never lost to Duke. And they're trying to give it away. They for the first time this year, they're the only school to have 3 turnovers in 3 continuous plays, 3 series. They turned it over 3. They've had a field goal blocked. I don't think Duke could score very much against their defense, but the offense is finding a way to give it. They've switched quarterbacks. I kind of feel sorry because they got no answers for their offense, and yet they're still within about 7. But it's the problems on their offense are so bad. It's going to be a struggle every week. They change quarterbacks tonight. It's been a problem.
Coach, coming into the year, I thought DJ was going to be a good fit there. Did you? I'm actually surprised that it imploded like it did. I don't understand why.
You know, I was at Clemson as an analyst, and he was the freshman. I watched him on the sideline or in the practice. I said, that's going to be the next guy because he's so stoic. He stands there tall, but he's got no emotion. I thought he was just being cool and poised, but he actually has no emotion. He doesn't have enough leadership emotion and that fire, and that showed up a lot. He just kind of is nonchalant, and so he's not able to turn that thing on. Those guys that do have poise under pressure, they do need to turn it on and jack their guys up once in a while. I just don't think he had that ability, and he must have had a lack of confidence somewhere deep inside.
Amazing. I thought the same thing as you, Coach, at the time. We thought, talking about a number 1 pick of the draft type of deal. Talent, right, Coach?
He's a perfect body.
You're thinking, this is the next guy. Look at his body. Look at his arm. Look at the athletic talent. He played baseball, all-around athlete. You're thinking, this guy could be a top pick in the NFL draft.
You remember Roman Gabriel. He reminded me of Roman. I'm getting old. You know I'm getting old when I go out there. But that's what he looked like. But again, they've struggled with that. They lost Cam Ward. They were after Cam Ward. They lost him to Miami. DJ was the next one on their list. He didn't turn out to be what he wanted to be. Cam Ward turned out to be anything everybody wanted him to be.
Another one, Coach, was Logan Thomas. Remember Logan Thomas in Virginia Tech?
Yes,
looks like the next Cam Newton, right? Big guy, just dominant, and ends up being a tight end in the NFL for years. And good on him, right? He's a multimillionaire and has had a hell of a career.
I was talking to Charles Barkley at Auburn when I was coaching. He would come back and visit. I said, "You'd have made a heck of a tight end." He got laughed at me. I guess it was kind of stupid.
Coach.
Now that you think about it, it was kind of stupid to mention that to him. But anyway, Florida State, I think they're going to struggle with what they've got right now. And now they just, I'll be honest with you, they don't have anything offensively to turn to.
Let's talk about Oklahoma State and BYU, Coach. This BYU Cougar football team. I said off the top of the show here, they've really had that we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere mentality because they had to have that because they were an independent. But they backed it up. A lot of teams would say that, but they backed it up. They've got grown men on their team, Coach. Let's just be real. I mean, they've got guys, with wives and houses and 25, So what? And it's a wild place to play. I guess it's the altitude, the intensity of the fans as well. It's a tough place to play. And Oklahoma State really underachieving this year. They got a backup quarterback going in there, sacrificial lamb. I think BYU rolling tonight, Coach. What do you think?
I do. I think so too. I think they at BYU they were picked to be 13th in the conference, and tonight they're 13th in the country ranking. They're 6-0. They're a Mormon school. Jeff Ratliff is a Jewish quarterback, the only one in the country starting around. What a perfect combination! It's supposed to snow tonight. Oklahoma State winning on Thursday. They got the backup quarterback. They've got the Doak Walker winner who's running for about 50 yards a year. So you got Oklahoma State struggling to find themselves. Although Gundy always seems to find a way to get the second half of the season fixed. They are really struggling right now at 3-3. But you got to like BYU and what they're doing this year and how they're doing it.
So you got BYU, you got Army, and you got Navy too, all winning football games. Still undefeated. Right now. I mean, it's some great stories going on in college football right now, Coach. All right, listen, we got about a minute and a half or two before the break, and then I'll just throw the big games at you on the other side. But I saw Coach Sarkisian this morning on the Pat McAfee show, and I thought it was a great interview, and he was just so relaxed. But I wanted to ask you about this because he talked about, Sarkisian said, I'm basically a Pete Carroll disciple. He goes, a lot of coaches come from different coaching trees. He goes, Pete Carroll was my guy, and he goes, Carroll was so open-minded and raw, And then he goes, then I work with Nick Saban, who just worked inside this box, who was the complete opposite. And he goes, what I realized about coaches is they kind of coach their teams or kind of play like their personalities are. So I want to ask you, Coach. I mean, growing up, the son of such a legendary coach, you must have so much of your father in you and his philosophies. But you also, and Sarkisian said, I have to figure out who I am. And he goes, I think Texas play who my personality is. What's that like, Coach? Like, I thought that was like fascinating that he was talking about. As a coach and someone who's been through that, what do you hear when you hear that?
Well, I know for a fact I was mentored by my father, and he was the riverboat gambler. He was always the underdog until the last 10 or 15 years of his career, where he had to find a way to get a win. And he did it his way, wide open, wild. That's the part of it, and so it's kind of where you are. Steve Spurrier was a big opponent of us. He played golf on Wednesday. He was relaxed. He was laid back, but his players played like that. I think we do, and we look at our mentors, the guy that coaches. I know that Sarkisian, Pete Carroll, that didn't work out too well for him in South Carolina, but you can't go wrong being mentored by Nick Saban. Look at Kirby Smart. You look at the quarterback at Texas. You look at Indiana. Kirk Cignetti was a quarterback coach for Nick Saban.
Man, Indiana coach. I'm telling you, man, this Curtis Rourke kid. I know all about Curtis Rourke.
Oh, I recruited him. I had him in my school at Akron, lost him to Ole Miss.
So you know his brother Nate as well, who's in the CFL right now. Great quarterbacks, the Rourke brothers.
Thanks a lot.
More with Coach on the other side.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's the Bowden Blitz. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it with Coach Terry Bowden. So, Coach, massive game. Let's get down to business. Georgia and Texas. Georgia, I've already been, Georgia had that track meet and the shootout with Alabama. And Texas's big win was going into the big house and beating an offensively challenged Michigan earlier in the season. But, Texas have just, they do look the part. I mean, they got this, they got people say, Coach, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one. They're the exception. They're the exception. When you got Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, you got quarterbacks, all right? Like, man, are they good. First time, though, since 2021, Coach, that Georgia are underdogs. What do you think about this game?
Well, that's how they build their programs, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, and now Texas. He who has the best players usually wins. Now you throw the quarterback. Do you have the best quarterback? It's pretty close there. Texas, I watched them. I think they have the best athletes on the field. If you look at running backs, wide receivers, each position down the road, they're a little bit better. But I got a feeling, I just got this feeling Georgia has been there before. Coach Kirby Smart knows how to do it. And everything says Texas and take Texas. But I think Georgia begins to elevate themselves each week. There was really one bad half. They played some decent football, but only really one bad half against Alabama. Clemson's doing the same thing. They had a bad half against Georgia the second half. But I think it's going to be a great game. Texas has the quarterback. They've got great talent, maybe even more so than Georgia. But Georgia also has great talent, and they've got a veteran quarterback. And so I'm gonna pull the upset. I'm gonna pick the upset in Georgia.
And Coach, I'm not saying it's going to turn into a full out that gets into the 90s as far as the score is concerned, but isn't this sort of like very similar to the Alabama Georgia game? I mean, there's going to be points put up on the board, aren't they? I think they're going to be going up and down the field on each other.
Well, what happened? Alabama had a great game plan from the offseason. They saw some things Georgia was doing. They put a game plan. The quarterbacks ran to the sideline, scored up the sideline all 4 times, and now Georgia spent the whole game catching up. And I think Alabama. So I'm not sure it'll be quite like that. If somebody jumps ahead, the other team forgets the running and throwing. And Georgia had a great throwing game the second half. I think these teams both have really good defenses, but I see them scoring more than not scoring. I don't see this as being a 17-14 game. I'm more about 20s to 30s and up in that lane. But I think you're right about that.
Coach, I'm leaning and I like Alabama to beat Tennessee due to the fact that they were in that Georgia game. Just the experience. Yeah. Go back to last year's Rose Bowl and past years. They've been in a lot of big games before. They're not going to win every one of them, but they've been there before. And now that we're in conference play here, suddenly the veneer's starting to come off the Volunteers a little bit, Coach.
Well, the Volunteers are a little bit in trouble because they're not running the offense that they know how to run. The one that got Josh Heupel that job, to throw it vertically downfield, throw it to the sideline, open the defensive up so you can run that inside zone up the middle. Well, people were worried about those passes, so they played wide and let him run for the first 3 or 4 games. Now they see Nico must not be as sharp. He's not as accurate as they want. He's overthrown a lot of balls. And now Tennessee's become, we're going to win with defense. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to win a close ball game. Alabama, they've got some defensive struggles at times, but you don't play that game to beat Alabama. When you have a game like this, I look at who has the most veteran quarterback. Who has the quarterback I think that's most steady. And to me, Jalen Milroe is the guy that's the difference maker in this game.
Speaking of steady quarterbacks, Nussmeier's been very steady for LSU, right? The offense isn't the issue with LSU. And Kelly's teams do have a pattern, Coach, of sort of clicking and starting to get it at midseason, right? They stumble out of the gate. They lose the opener all the time. And then, by week 6, week 7, people are like, oh, yeah, you know what? LSU are not bad. They're still in this thing. But without being stated, they really could have lost. There were a couple of 4th down conversions last week, Coach, against Ole Miss. Wasn't like, it was a dominant performance by them. And they wanted Pittman out. I mean, they wanted him fired, the boosters there, Coach. They bring in Petrino as well. And, this Hog football team, they're tough out, this team. This is a really fun game. What do you think?
Oh, I do. I think it's going to be a great game. LSU's going to have a hard time getting back up Sam Pittman may be coach of the year before this thing's all over. Even the games they've lost, they played very well, and they're going to be very physical when they come in. Nussmeier, you're right. He threw it over 50 times because they don't run the ball well enough. But I'm going to tell you, I will say this about that game. The stadium was the difference. Over 100,000 people, the lights, the action, nighttime. They never lose down there. I hated to go into that place when I was in Auburn. This is going to be a great game with Arkansas. It's up at Arkansas's place. They're at home, and they're playing tough. I just can't believe – I've been with LSU all year. I think they're going to be that team that sneaks into that playoff in the last.
Coach is a Michigan fan. I'll ask you on the way out. Michigan and Illinois, they're wearing the old Red Grange uniforms tomorrow. Old school. It's going to be a smash-mouth game. We got 10 seconds. Who you got?
Well, I got Illinois because Michigan's they don't got a quarterback right now. They're switching again.
Got to get some NIL money going.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Never enough time with Coach Bowden when he joins us on the show. Coach just actually dropped a little quick Deion Sanders story on the way out during the break, and he talked about, he said that the FSU team bus left, and Deion was late. He wasn't there. And the bus left without him, and a white limo pulls up before the bus gets there, and Deion gets out of his own white limo. The team gets off the bus, and Deion had his own limousine. And Coach Bowden, Terry just told me, he goes, you know, my father would never accepted that from anybody before. He goes, Primetime was the first one that sort of, got away with what he was going to do. He let him do what he was going to do. But great coaches understand that. You can't treat every player the same. I treat everyone the same. That doesn't work, right? You got to treat everyone differently. But it's funny if you think, like, Primetime sort of revolutionized. He ruined the game by making, like, he was the first me guy. I'm showing up in the limo on my own. But fun stuff with Terry Bowden. All right, let's get down to business. We got Cam Stewart. We got Lou in the house, Gamblu, ready to step up and in. And just quickly, we pulled the trigger on the BYU Cougars. We laid the points with the BYU Cougars, and it didn't take long for BYU to score. 7-0 BYU right now, guys. And I'll tell you what, BYU are 6-0 straight up. They're 6-0 against the spread as well. Oklahoma State have a kid making his, second start. They're in a lot of trouble tonight. I think BYU are going to roll them, as we said off the top of the show. And Fresno State and Nevada have just started. And I like Nevada here, plus the 3 points. They've been a very competitive team. They were supposed to win 1 or 2 games this year. They're 3-4. They're surprising people. They're very competitive. Fresno State are underachieving. Fresno State's defense has got big-time problems. It's not the same Fresno team that we've come to know after Tedford left. So I'm on Nevada here. We got NHL hockey right now, too. The Ducks are up 2-1 on the Avalanche. Let's bring Cam Stewart and Lou in. Cam, the Ducks are beating the Avs 2-1. The Avs struggles continue. The Ducks are minus 155 favorites right now. The Avalanche are plus 125. Who do you have in this game?
Well, Gabe, you know me and dogs. Quack, 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 quack. Of course I'm on the Ducks. I don't care if Colorado they need the win. They haven't won this year. Who cares? This team has got major problems with the goaltender. 2 lines, injured players totaling $60 million sitting in the press box. This team is ravaged. Gabe, we had Anaheim. Remember we got them as dogs? They came back and won against Utah in overtime where we're getting a goal and a half in money line. That was fantastic. Also, over 6.5. This goaltender is basically a colander, Gabe. He's a strainer, man. It's just everything goes through him. I'm going to take the over in the game, and I'm on the Ducks.
And Major League Baseball, 6-2 for the Yankees. We had 12-6 and 6-2. Wild game at Citi Field earlier today. And now we got a 6-2 game. The Yankees have taken control. We're in the bottom of the seventh inning right now. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of miracle comeback. They do have runners on first and third with one out. Lou, Gamblu.com in the house. Lou, always good to see you, my man. Thanks for joining us. How you doing, Lou?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great. You know, October, all I'm tweeting every night, October, you got playoff baseball. A couple of sports that I'm not paying attention to hockey or NBA right now because the NFL and playoff baseball is just too good. We have a UFC card, so I'm fired up. It's a great month, and I always enjoy October, and I always enjoy speaking with you professionals about angles.
Yeah, it's like Oktoberfest, except for betting. I guess that's what this is.
Instead of the booze and food. Yeah.
No, it's like a bet fest. Yeah, October bet fest. That's what it's October bet fest. And you guys know, no one really bets as many different sports as I do. And I'm watching this, I'm watching that, and all this. And even me, Lou, it's too much. I'm a diehard Dodger fan, so I'm all dialed in. And I'm like, oh, damn, the WNBA finals are on. Oh, I'm putting the bet in 30 seconds before tip-off, forgetting. I'm like, oh, the Canucks are winning. I'm like, oh, I forgot they even played. I'm like, I got on my mind. Like I said, I'm thinking about this contest, Lou. I got my mind is spinning about NFL games, college football games. Like, my mind's spinning, bro. That's why we brought you on to help us with UFC 99.
Yes. And I get that. And I just want to say, I can't tell you how much I appreciate a guy like you, Gabe, you too, Cam, that can speak about with knowledge about gambling on every single sport. Not I can't do it. I don't have it. I gotta just shoot at a few select ones, try and do it that way because I just can't spread myself like that. So I tip my hat to the guys that can do it all because I got respect for that.
I appreciate it, Lou. So as long as we're in the NFL, let me ask you, what do you think, Lou, of the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation in Pittsburgh? You got a 4-2 football team. Fields isn't perfect, but they're winning games, and they're not losing games because of him either. And in my opinion, it's purely political, Lou. The fact is, Russell Wilson's making the big money. They signed him. Fields only making $3 million a year. They picked him up off the trash heap. Tomlin was the one that wanted Russell Wilson so much. This is a total Mike Tomlin move. He sees more upside in the big picture in Russell Wilson. I guess time will tell, but I'm baffled by the move, and I saw even a lot of former Pittsburgh Steelers players are baffled by the move. What's your take, Lou?
My take is, and I'm going to be as gentle as I can, what gives me the right to think that after all these years I'm going to tell Tomlin how to run his dadgum team? Tomlin knows what he's doing. He's been there a long time. They've had 3 coaches there. Tomlin's one of them. If they fired him, he'd get picked up like a fumble in the Super Bowl. I think you got to trust the guy that's there. He can't come in and host a gambling show like you and Cam, and you guys can't, nor I, coach like him. Let's trust him. He's doing this for a reason, and if it backfires, we can all call him names, and he can put the other kid in because we know Fields can play. He knows something we don't. That's what I believe.
Oh, boy.
What do you think about Sunday's game?
Here come the Guardians. Here they come.
What do you think about Sunday's game, Lou? 6-5 right now. Dear God.
Sorry,
that Sunday Pittsburgh game. I got a release for y'all. That game has seen some wild movement because early on the Jets were woe is me, and then they signed.
What is it right now? It's 1.5 now. I see the Jets minus 1.5.
Yeah, and the look ahead was Pittsburgh -1 a week ago. So tell me what happened in a week that made that thing move 2.5 points. Explain that to me, because that's what I don't get, and for that reason,
Russell Wilson. I think the market, people don't believe in Russell Wilson. And it's pretty crazy that there'd be a negative that normally it would be like, oh, Justin Fields is like playing in the number. It's crazy that's how little people think. And obviously the Devontae Adams stuff, but that's how little people think of Russell Wilson, Lou, that the number's moving because he's playing.
And the guy hasn't played forever.
Perfect. Remember the Socrates quote, guys. If you want to be
Whoa,
wrong,
whoa, whoa,
follow
whoa.
the masses.
Settle down,
If
Lou.
you-
I went to community college. Back it up a few notches.
If you want
Yeah,
to
remember Socrates. What makes you think we know Socrates?
Yeah, what Socrates,
Go on.
you said?
I'll stop. Sorry.
He's
Go
an
on.
old friend of mine. He's an old buddy of mine. If you want to be wrong, follow the masses. Yeah, everybody doesn't trust Tomlin. I just got done saying. I trust the fact that this dude knows what he's doing in this job for this long, and I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt. He knows something. He's there every day. And so the move is wrong. It's an overreaction. Give me some Pittsburgh. Give it all to me I can take. Tease me up. I'm at home. Let's go.
Lou, Gamblu.com in the house with us, getting fired up tonight. Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, big-time football game. Vikings coming off their bye week. We'll see if that is a negative for them. Detroit, of course, lose Aiden Hutchinson. They're getting 1.5. To me, for betting purposes this week in the NFL, I actually like the card, but I see a lot of games that I think are going to be shootouts, track meets. I like a lot of overs this week.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You know, Purdue were sort of lingering. I've talked a lot about the Oregon Ducks playing to the number. Whatever the odds makers really know the Oregon Ducks. They've got them figured out. Like I said, if they're favored, they were favored by 23.5 at UCLA. They won by 21. There was another game they were favored by 22. They won by 20 or whatever. They're really sort of right around the number all the time. Tonight it's 30, and they're up 28-0 right now. But it was 21-0 for a little while. If Purdue could just, the Ducks aren't trying to cover. The Ducks could be winning this game 56-0 right now if they really wanted to, right? And I told you guys, they just systematically score. They get up, and then they just start running the ball. They have nothing to prove. They have no one to impress. They don't care if they cover or not. So if you're Purdue, all you got to do is score once. We can cover. All you got to do is give us an effing touchdown, and you cover the point spread at 30. They kicked a field goal. They went for a field goal. It was 4th and 4. They go for a field goal from like the 38-yard field goal attempt down 21-0. Like the Purdue are just playing. Like they're a terrible team. But this is a very coverable game for Purdue if they could just give us something. But they can't. Their offense, this looks like it's going to end up 35-0. We're going to be on the wrong end of the plus 30 in this game. We told you we like Nevada plus the 3. Nevada score on their opening drive. Nevada up 7-0 right now on Fresno. And Oklahoma State have tied the game with BYU right now. All right, so we got Cam Stewart in the house, Gamblu. Lou going contrarian. Listen, one thing I'll say about the Pittsburgh Steelers game and that game, Lou, is you're talking about hard to, like, bet on the Jets. Like, forget about, like, the Russell Wilson stuff. You're laying, for people who are, like, you can say it's kind of insane, Lou, talking about a 2-4 football team that has big-time offensive problems as 1.5-point road favorites against a 4-2 team, Lou, that has also one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, we can talk about Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers, like, his back might get broken in half by T.J. Watt on Sunday night, Lou.
There's a rest disadvantage here. Jets is 6 days, and Pittsburgh's 8 days. Not only that, the Jets started the season playing 3 games in 11 days, and they're now in the middle of 4 games in like 17 days. When the Jets get out of week 8 or 9, the rest of their schedule is going to be really advantageous. The Jets have to hold on to anything they can and get by the next 2 or 3 weeks somehow and get into the second part of their season. The schedule's been brutal for them, and this spot, I believe, is pretty bad for them. And you're going into Pittsburgh, and both these teams right now want to play a game that looks like 11-9. Okay, so I encourage the under, and I encourage Pittsburgh.
Why not 6-5 like the baseball game? It's sort of the same thing.
I like
11-9.
11-9,
6-5.
with that.
I think you're kind of onto something there. So I said there's a few games that I like. I think there's going to be points scored, but sometimes it's too obvious, and the obvious ones you're walking into a trap. And oftentimes, too, guys, people will be a day late, dollar short, so to speak. You'll see an offense, oh, my God, they scored 47 points last week, or they've scored, they scored 35 and 35 or whatever. Yeah, teams that put up, more than 40 points, like they always regress after. And so it is tricky. But with that being stated, Houston and Green Bay, total is 48 points. They're going to score on each other. The Green Bay Packers can score on anybody. Like, this offense goes up and down the field. I like the Packers in this game, but I think there's going to be points put up on the board in that game. Detroit, Minnesota, in the Dome wouldn't surprise me if there's points there. Carolina, Washington kind of just writes itself at the 51.5. But with that being stated, Lou, I know you're looking at a football game here in the ATL, the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks. And a lot of people, listen, you're talking about the Seahawks, the last 3 games are giving up 35 points a game. And the last 3 games, the Atlanta Falcons have actually scored 100 points. The Falcon offense started to come together a little bit here right now. Total is 51 here. A lot of people like Seattle plus the 3, and a lot of people like the over in this football game. Lou, what's your opinion on this? Are you going contrarian once again?
The look-ahead line in this game a week ago, before any perception from last week's games, was 47.5. It's been clobbered.
Wow.
It's been bet way up to 51.5. And to an extent, I can see why people would think that, because both these offenses seemingly coming around. However, when you take a little closer look at the offenses, you see both teams really want to run. You got a dual running back situation in Atlanta, and you surely have a team in Seattle wants to run the ball right down your throat, and you have 2 run Ds that are porous and poor. And I believe the attack from each team is going to be so run-oriented, there's not going to be enough time to get over 51 points in this game. I'll gladly go over I'll gladly take the under, the key number 51, now that it's reached that high, in a game that I think is going to be something that looks like 23-18 kind of game. I think it's close and tight. Seattle wants them tight. They don't want to get in a track meet. And Atlanta's still figuring themselves out and has a terrible run defense.
So you just said something there, Lou, that rings a bell with me. You talked about, the advanced number, and it sounds like it's something you put stock in. And, I've always said, he who bets, what happened last week in the NFL will lose this week. But people often bet on what they saw last, just point blank. It's human nature, right? I mean, it's
thank
just.
God they do. That's how I'm making a living.
It's sort of like the jury, right? In a court case, you want to go last. You got the last word. The jury's going to forget what they said before. So you know what I mean. You want to sort of people, but you keep talking about the number, and very good point, Lou. One game, so it's amazing. Like you said, the perception from last week moved the number 4.5 points. 4 points, 4.5 points. The public just sees it completely different than it did last week. Yeah.
Seattle's getting a lot of defensive guys back, too, including Byron Murphy, first-round draft pick, who's absolutely huge, too.
And they're off a bye, and you don't know what that 10 days is going to do to them. They're probably still half asleep.
Hope so.
All right, we'll hit the UFC on the other side with Lou. UFC, it's Vegas 99.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Pips, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We've got college football going on, Major League Baseball. We got some drama going on here. Cleveland and the Yankees. The Guardians have made a game of it, man. 6-2, no lead is safe. Hell, even the Dodgers sort of made it kind of interesting today. These teams just keep swinging the bats, man. It's tough to bet the unders. They just keep swinging. The teams that are ahead are getting let up. The teams that are down, and there's so much power in today's game. Plus, they're seeing the same pitchers all the time now as well. Everybody knows, what the guy's throwing. It's like, listen, we've already faced him twice in the series. We've seen him earlier this year. We know his pitches, especially the closers. That's why you see these late closers breaking down a bit. Closers generally have two pitches. They might, they're going to have the heat, and they might have, a cutter or this or a slider or something that they mix in. and it just becomes the guessing game for the hitters. And some of these hitters are pretty good at guessing and getting it right.
Yeah, look at Clay Holmes, Gabe. The guy hasn't given up a run, and Cleveland was waiting on his pitches tonight. It's like they figured out something, and they were smashing balls. Like that's the whole thing. This live betting market for playoff baseball is amazing. Think about these guys when they're down 6-2. It's 6-5 now. Run line, whatever. Think about the money line when Cleveland was down. If they come back and win, Gabe. Like, this is beautiful stuff. And you see the swings in the Dodgers and the Mets game. Great time of the year to be playing live. You're right. No lead safe.
Yeah, but you got to be you got to be out of your mind wacko. Who's going to take Cleveland down 6-2?
Me.
And they're going to take them plus 3.5. You're right, but you've been trained to do that. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, but look, the same thing. There's nothing blind about it. The Dodgers didn't come back today. They lost by 6. So,
yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like it's so it's like 1-1. You know what I mean? It's not like it's some sort of like yeah, you got to pick your spots. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think hockey's great.
Last game too, Gabe. The only reason the Dodgers totally didn't come back is Roberts. You know, he's got to work out things for the next game. They left in pitchers that he definitely would have taken out earlier when they came back. Your boy hit 2 home runs in that game. Things got real there for a while, but they understood we have to have all hands on deck for the next game. So sometimes you leave in guys a little bit too long. That's fact.
I was going to say the hockey's the one. We all see the 2-goal lead. That's just almost like I actually hate myself for not just sitting in front of a computer and automatically betting on every team plus 2.5 once they're down 2-0. Because the dreaded 2-0 lead in hockey gets burned all the time. So, Lou, UFC, I got to full disclosure. I'm really, I'm looking at the card. I know the fighters, right? So there's a lot of familiar fighters to me. Anthony Hernandez, Pereira here, Rob Font versus Phillips, Johnson. So I know, Daniel Pineda. I know most of the Elkins, etc. There's a lot of known fighters here to me, but I'm not very familiar on the card. That's why we have you on, sir. So what are you looking at, Lou?
Relatively obscure card. A lot of these fighters now are fighting right on the heels of the Contender Series. So there's fighters fighting for their UFC lives, and they're pitted against one another. And in many reasons, that's going to be good for the viewer to watch because you're going to have desperation on two party sides and hopefully finishes. The Apex is a smaller octagon, and while the fighters are relatively unknown and smaller, there's only 2 fights out of like 11 that fighters weigh 170 pounds or heavier in. The first fight's a heavyweight fight where one guy will smash another, and then the main event. And so I'm going to go right to the main card. There's about 3 or 4 fights that are really bettable on this card. The main event is a guy named Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He opened 200 against a buzzsaw of a maniac Brazilian, Michel Pereira. Pereira is a wild, flamboyant striker, high octane, high output, high power. However, his level of competition is somewhat dubious at this 185-pound level. He used to fight at 170, and what's amazing is how he ever made 170, because most people don't understand how he makes 185. He's so huge and explosive. On the other side, you got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, a submission artist from California, a little more diligent, a little more methodical in his approach. He uses IQ. He's got to get out of the first round, get this fight into the second and third round, where then he will hold advantage because he'll have the cardio advantage, and Pereira will begin to burn out having to defend all the takedowns as well as much offense as he puts out. The issue for those looking for Fluffy Hernandez is that first 5 minutes is going to be ferocious.
Hang in here, Lou. We'll wrap up with Lou on the other side. We'll bring Rob Vino in as well. Bring it.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. 35-0. You know, I got to own this one. Listen, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It is what it is. I was right with Duke. We took Duke against Florida State tonight, but I took the Purdue Boilermakers plus 30. I'm not one of these people that's going to say, oh, it was a good bet, even though it lost. I hate that. That's the one term I see people. I see Lou, I see people on Twitter, Cam, and they say that after. Lou, I don't know how you feel about that. I see people that say, I lost, but it was the right side. It wasn't the right side. That's just a delusional angle that you're pretending that your breakdown, like you're in denial. It wasn't the right. If it lost, it wasn't the right side. So I'm not going to sit here and go, I took Purdue plus 30 was the right side. It wasn't because they're down 35-0. It's just frustrating, though, because like I said, Oregon doesn't care about covering. Like they're laying 30. Also, there's 8 minutes left. They just got to 35. Like if Purdue would if they would have given us anything, 7 points, 10 points, the Ducks wouldn't have cared. They would have won 35-10 happily. Purdue just couldn't give us a damn point. So I blame myself for taking them because they suck.
Well, that's because you're a professional.
I will defend this point, though. If you were to say the Oregon Ducks is going to score,
no, Cam, you're a bigger if guy than I am. I just own it, Cam.
I am sometimes an if guy, but if you were going to tell me that the Oregon Ducks are going to score 35, I would say Purdue would cover that game. They have no damn points at home. That's the problem. I don't think it was a bad bet. It was just the wrong side. That's all. They didn't do their job.
They're losing 35-0 at home. It's a bad bet. Unless they score. Sorry, Lou. Go on, Lou.
Guys that say they had the right side, I scramble to get my picture of the Wrigley Field scoreboard and send it to him. Scoreboard. Just freaking read the scoreboard, man. The right side is the winning side. There is no
Lou, you see it a lot.
side.
You see it a lot in the MMA world, I guess, Lou, right? People on Twitter after fights, if this didn't have that and it was the right this and the odds.
If my aunt,
admit it. You got it wrong.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Rui, send me the Wrigley scoreboard. I'll put it in my backdrop there.
I have a lot of comebacks. I have a lot of comebacks for that, but I'm gonna pass on them all.
That was amazing.
I'm all about parcels. You are what your record says you are. Put your record out there. Be transparent. Okay. Be real.
No, you're exactly right. And he said that after 8 games. That was his thing. We're sort of moving into that. I don't think Rob is here yet, right? Is Rob ready to go?
I don't know. I don't want to be taking another man's time.
Okay, no. So, we'll get to Rob in 1 second. So, one question, Lou, since you're there, and I'm kind of in a minority in this one, but I like the Cardinals on Monday Night Football against the Chargers. So you're in Arizona. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. And then finally, in closing, just if you can give us a couple of quick UFC takes, and we'll bring Mr. Ravino in.
I strongly agree. It's better radio to disagree. I strongly agree with that Arizona move. I strongly agree with it. Be patient. Get every half a point you can with that. And then as far as UFC main event, Fluffy Hernandez. Co-main event, you can't bet because the Phillips number has gotten way out of hand. You want an underdog? There's a Brazilian named Nicolau. And he may not win his fight. He's a plus 180 or so underdog, but he'll give us everything he has. He has everything to fight for. He's fought the best. He has an experience edge, a height edge, a reach edge, and he needs to win this fight to remain relevant. He's in against a buzzsaw, but I think he's going to win the fight, and he's plus 180, Matthias Nicolau from Brazil.
Speaking of buzzsaws, the Cleveland Guardians have tied the game at 6.
Oh, wow.
Did you see how they did it, too?
ahead
That
of
pitcher
me.
plays the ball. It's going, oh, my God. It was
That's typical Yankee baseball, though, Ken. Me and Kurt's talked about it last night. Make the Yankees make a play.
Yes.
Right? Defensive plays like this, they're not going to do it. That was a tough play. Bang, bang. You have to think, what do I do? And then the first baseman drops the ball after. The Guardians are playing small ball right now.
Why doesn't the pitcher pick it up and just touch the runner?
Yes, Glue. That's what I was thinking. Why was the underhand stuff into his lower area? That was weird, man.
It's like NBA modern players, Lou. They can't dribble. Modern pitchers can't. They don't do anything. Baseball players can't do anything besides throw it 103 miles an hour and hit a home run.
You hit it on the head.
You know what I mean? You make them do things. And it's like, whoa, hey, and it becomes a comedy of errors. And the Guardians are just good at that. Lou, you're the best, my man. Gamblu.com. Follow Lou on Gamblu.
Sorry, I took some time and.
Pleasure.
Good stuff, Lou. All right. Thanks to Gamblu for joining us on the show. Rob Vino steps up and in from Philadelphia. Rob, we got some craziness going on in Cleveland right now. And I already have my World Series ticket. Game 1. Locked and loaded, and I'm thinking, man, we're going to have the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't know. Things can change in a hurry, Rob. Maybe it's going to end up being the New York Mets and the Cleveland Guardians. That's the way things are going right now. Nothing's ever done in baseball. This is just point blank. Nothing's ever done in baseball. What do you think of this Guardian comeback right now?
Yeah, amazing, Gabe. I mean, I had taken them early in this game, live bet plus 2.5, and when Stanton hit the home run, I figured that's about the end of that. And next thing you know, it's not the end of that. So the momentum swings have been, Mets Dodgers this series as well. They've been drastic. Cleveland's pulled off late inning heroics now, 2 games in a row. So you're right. These things are never over. Playoff baseball's funny. It's funny. You think it's the pendulum is swinging one way, and all of a sudden it's back the other. So real quick, Dodgers 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, top of the 1st. They blow that opportunity, and next thing you know, you're down 3-0. Alonso Tanks went over the center field fence. So it is kind of crazy, the momentum swings here.
The way that game started, too, I was thinking, oh, boy, good luck. You know what I mean? Just sort of off of this, off of that. All right. The drop ball by Marte, as you stated. BYU with the interception. And BYU right now are on the 1 yard line. So BYU are about to punch it in. In-game is 9.5, 59.5 right now. Just quickly on this, Rob, in-game here, Oklahoma State, BYU, any action for you on this football game? And or Fresno, Nevada, any college football action for you tonight?
The only thing I have here, Gabe, is I have BYU to finish off a parlay here. So it would be nice if they could get the job done. Late 8.5 early in the week. So I'm looking for them to win this one by 9. I haven't done anything in game with that one as of yet, but I do think you just said 59.5. I think this game's going to eventually get over that. This game's probably going to get into the 60s by the time it's done.
I got my eye on everything here, and you've got a young quarterback for Oklahoma State. He just threw like a pretty bad pick right to BYU. They're going to be under pressure here. BYU don't let up. The Mormons are a lot like the military. They don't quit. Like they're gonna like BYU. And another thing is too, like BYU aren't the Ducks. BYU sort of do need to impress a little bit, just for their perception, and just keep this dominant run going. I don't think they're gonna let up here. I laid the points. I didn't bet the total here, Rob. I just laid the points with BYU. And I actually took Nevada plus the points. They're up 7-3 as well. Total is 50.5 there. What about there? You know, I mean, not the prettiest game. You think we can get there over 50.5?
Yeah, that one's tough because I've lost all faith in the Fresno State offense. If you asked me like 3 weeks ago, I'd have been, waving the Mikey Keene flag and Fresno State offense. And then came that UNLV game.
Well, they just gave up 59 points the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, Malik Williams in his first start goes crazy, and Fresno can't score. So I've kind of lost faith in their offense. Nevada's putting together a pretty good season here, a little under the radar, a little underrated, but it's based on the run game. So I don't know that I can trust that one to get up and over. But I do think the Oklahoma State, because you said BYU won't let up, and Gundy will never quit. Hey, Gundy's going to throw till the final gun. He doesn't care. Rangel or whoever. He may bring Bowman back in. Who knows? But yeah, I think he's going to get over.
I just bet over 60.5. Not the greatest number, but I'm in. We're already at 21 points right now. There's still nearly the entire second quarter to play coming up. Let's roll.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, our boy Greg Frank in Master Control is taking exception to there's no bad beats.
What's the best?
And total yards.
Yeah.
Listen, let me ask you, Rob, because I hear it's an excuse. I hear people all the time in the handicap, not you, but I hear people in the handicap world after they lose. Wow, we out-yarded them 448 to 374. Good for you. They outpointed you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of teams that are good in between the 20s, and they rack up a bunch of yards. And the Giants, and I think, Greg, you even use the Giants as an example. Giants are a classic example of that. Daniel Jones is good in between, you know what I mean, in between the 20 to the 40, and then he gets sacked or he turns it over or they punt the ball. So I'm not dismissing total yards as part of research, but I feel that it's overused at times, Rob, the yardage stat. It's about production. To me, red zone production is better than yardage. right? You know what I mean? Do you bury, you know what I mean? Some teams don't move the ball that much, but they get into the red zone and they bury it all the time. And they put points up on the board. Some teams will put up a bunch of yards, but they don't actually score points. What's your take, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, in two different things, right, Gabe? When you said it's good for use as research when you're handicapping a game, yes, to use it as an argument after the game, it's kind of difficult. You know, I don't know. Some people like to think they're sharp by saying I was on the right side. I had a right side loser, wrong side winner. You had a wrong side winner. Is there such a thing as bad beats? Sure, there's things as bad beats. And you're talking about guys who rack up total guns.
The Saints and the Rams was a bad beat. The Saints got screwed. Like, that's a bad beat. Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley was a bad beat, right? There's certain things where it's like, that's the worst call in the history of boxing, all right? Or that's, you know, UFC, there's bad beats, right? Where it's like, yeah, the judges are morons and they screwed because, you know, they gave it to the dude because he's from Texas and they're in Texas or whatever. That does happen. But the crying constantly, oh, he took a knee, he slid, he didn't take a knee, oh, it was a half a point. You were wrong. You're on the wrong side. Deal with it. I mean, when you win the bet, when people win the bet, they, you know, oh, I was so smart. That's why I won the bet. Well, you won the bet because of one stupid little piece of luck. A lot of luck goes into it, guys. That's my take, Rob. What you said sort of is that's how my point started. I said people just never want to own responsibility for a bet that they lose. It's the ump's fault. It's LeBron's fault. It's, you know what I mean? It's the announcer's fault. He hexed it. Whatever. It's the kicker's fault. You're the one that bet it. Nobody forced anyone to bet on any of these teams. You know, like, people will do that too. This team sucks and they rip, and because they bet on them. You're the moron that bet on them. That's how it started, Rob. I owned my own moronicness for betting on Purdue tonight.
And
That's
I'm
how
the biggest
started.
idiot in the world for betting the Carolina Panthers at the start of the year. They should actually fire me. It was so stupid.
Yeah, that's a bad bet. Like, that was just a bad bet.
Yeah, I own it. It was horrible. Horrible bet.
One of the truest terms in our industry is coin flip games. I mean, you're on the right side of some of these coin flip games, and you're on the wrong side of some of these coin flip games. In the end, generally speaking, they'll even themselves out. Hopefully, you're sharp enough when shopping for points and whatnot to, in the long haul, and I mean the long haul, be able to win more than you lose. But you know, I want to get back to something real quick, Dave. I'll get it off my chest real quick. I'm not coming in hot like last week, so you don't have the 7 second delay.
That was burning hot. Yeah.
I will say this. Two coaches, you talked about some teams rack up a ton of total yards, and it doesn't amount to anything. Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, Gus Malzahn at Central Florida. Those guys are the kings of 480 total yards and turning sevens into zeros. It drives me crazy because you know me, I'm playing these overs, and you know you've got it handicapped in the right direction because they're moving the ball at will. But the dumbness of those two teams, 2 weeks in a row for Ole Miss, 27 against South Carolina, turned 40 into 20-something last week again, and Gus Malzahn, the same thing. It's just, okay, I'm done. Those two guys irritate me.
We had Coach Bowden, Terry Bowden, on earlier. We talked about the Arkansas LSU game. I watched the LSU Ole Miss game last week as well, Rob. And, you know, listen, LSU won the game. They're also at home. They also converted like 2 4th down, 3 4th down conversions on the last drive of the game.
Yeah.
So it was far from a dominant performance. And this Arkansas team has been really good. This is a challenging game. You want to talk about a coin flip game. We saw Arkansas already knock off Tennessee at home. Arkansas really, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm not going to play that game. They should have beaten Oklahoma State. They really choked in the last couple of minutes. They should have won that game. They covered at Auburn. They lost. They covered at Auburn. Or A&M, excuse me. So they've been doing nothing but covering spreads, this team, and winning games. Now they're hosting LSU. What do you think of that one, Rob?
I like it over, honestly. 56.5, I think, was the number I got, guys. And I'll say this. For Arkansas, the bye week helped, right? Because Taylor Green, the quarterback, is healthy. Their offensive line is now fully healthy. They got their last fifth piece back, so it makes a difference. And where LSU is concerned, they played without a bunch of wide receivers last week, and they've got them all but one back this week. So when you throw Mason Taylor in there, the tight end, they've got pass weaponry that I don't think Arkansas has faced yet, other than what you mentioned, the Oklahoma State game, where they gave up 30 plus, high 30s in that game. Otherwise, they haven't faced real passing offenses, and Nussmeier and crew can throw it down the field. So Arkansas will be tested, but I think LSU's defense is still garbage, to tell you the truth, Gabe. I mean, you watch Mississippi just do whatever they wanted last week until, penalty flags or turnovers or whatever it is, turning 7 into 3 hurt them. So I think that game probably gets over. I think we're getting a little bit of value here because we had low-scoring game last week out of LSU, Ole Miss, and Arkansas has played fairly low-scoring games, mainly because they haven't been thrown upon. I think they'll get thrown on this week.
I asked people on Twitter to ask what games, if they had any questions about any games. James Smith asked about Auburn and Missouri and LSU Arkansas. We just talked about LSU and Arkansas. Any thoughts on Auburn and Mizzou, Rob?
Auburn, to me, Gabe, until they show us they can move the football, can't bet them. And I'm not going to say that Missouri has lived up to expectations this year because a lot was thought of them. And even if you watched the UMass game last week, right? UMass had a lot of opportunity.
Hold on, thought, Rob. 8-6 Bronx Bombers. Yankees up 8-6. We got a wild one going on.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Yankees up 8-6. I am Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. So 2 overs today, Major League Baseball. 8-6 right now, top of the 9th. They had the bases loaded as well. There's 2 out. So they really, this is massive because the Cleveland showed that, all right, they can come back from a couple of runs here, but we'll see if the Yankees are able to break this game open and Cleveland get out of it.
Yes.
So they're going to be going to the bottom of the 9th inning, down 8-6. Another meltdown for the Cleveland bullpen late in these games. And as I stated earlier, the hitters know like what pitches are coming all the time. New updated number. The World Series odds keep bouncing around. Yankees are plus 100 right now. Dodgers are plus 110. The Mets are 10-1, and the Guardians are currently just 22-1.
I know this sounds insane, But Class A's been hit a lot, and he was unhittable during the year. Does Cleveland actually think about it? Does Stephen Vogt go, hey, you know what? Maybe he's the setup guy now because he's been very, very, he's been hit. He's not the same guy anymore. The Yankees figured him out. I know it's crazy to take out one of the best closers in the game, but he's not doing very well recently. Just my point.
Well, they only have one more game left in the year, most likely. So
yeah, probably.
They're running on a racetrack. Oklahoma State has tied BYU 14-14. New in-game total 62.5. So it sort of got that pace. And we got some points going on here right now, guys, in Reno as well. 14-10 for Nevada. Total is 58.5 right now. And they just scored the touchdown. There's still 10 minutes left in the first half. Man, I'm hating myself, guys. I can't believe this, Rob. We had such a low total. I didn't bet the over before the game started. Like you said with Fresno, Nevada, I only took Nevada. Now I'm like, damn, should I get in on the 58.5? I'm going to do it. And if I lose, not a bad beat. This is what you call a degenerate live in-game special where this game's going to be going on for a while. I just don't want to be mad later when I see it's a track meet 2 hours from now, and I'll be like, I could have bet the over, and I didn't. So I'm going to jump in on it right now. And like I said, the BYU Oklahoma State game is cruising along. So, Rob, I want to get to the questions here, guys, of the people on Twitter that asked me what games. The Auburn-Mizzou game, not a ton of interest for me here, Rob, but what were you saying? What was your pick here on the way out? We were going to the break.
Yeah, I don't trust this Auburn offense.
Yeah, we lost.
All right, we lost. We'll get Rob back here in a second. Yeah, exactly. Teams that don't trust. And speaking of Tony Trust Finn coming up in a couple of minutes.
After last week with Tony, too. I want to see how he is this week. It's going to be fun.
You know what, though? 4 points, though, guys. I was just going to say, 4 points, it's not that much. I don't think much of Auburn. Auburn did strike gold in the recruiting. They got it they got a 5-star quarterback, so I think they paid a kid. But they still have problems here at the quarterback position. I think Missouri is the play, Rob. It's only 4 points.
I agree. And once Luther Burden was cleared a couple of days ago, I think that made all the difference in the world. That receiving core is so deep. And, it's really fallen a lot on Brady Cook this year, real quick, Gabe, at quarterback. And if he plays well, they're probably going to play well. I kind of throw that A&M game out as a little bit of a mirage. Auburn's not going to dominate in the trenches the way A&M did. So I like Mizzou. Short number, good home team. Need a win.
Patrick Burns on Twitter, X, isn't playing around. Nebraska, Rutgers, Tennessee, Bama, Florida, Kentucky, Louisville, Miami. I also think Navy and Army games would be cool if you can get to them. Nebraska, Rutgers, just quickly. I think Rutgers, I took Rutgers over 6.5 win total on the year. I think Rutgers will hang around. I think it's going to be a smash-mouth Big Ten football game. I like Rutgers plus the 7. Tennessee, Bama. Rob, I was going to ask you about the total here. How the hell do we not bet the over in this football game? I also like the over, in the prime, and I know they're the square games, so to speak, but they're also fun games. Texas and Georgia. There's going to be points in both these games, in my opinion, Rob. Tennessee, Bama over, Georgia, Texas over. What's your take?
Yeah, well, you're pretty sure that Alabama's going to score theirs, right, Gabe? They do it every week. The Tennessee
and their defense isn't very good.
Right, and Tennessee, they don't throw the football this year. It's funny with the Josh Heupel offense that they can't throw. But maybe this defense is one that they can throw against. I'd be hesitant to play it under. I do think the home team is probably the right side in that game. Real quick, I think Nebraska, I think a lot of Matt Rule as a head coach. I think if anybody can stop Cignetti's offense, he'll do it. And then you said Texas, Georgia. I would play over. I think Carson Beck throws. I think Quinn Ewers throws.
All right, we'll wrap up with Rob on the other side. This is SportsRage.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the two-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. I'm so excited, and I'm trying to get to so many games. I stumbled on the way out. Nebraska, Indiana, UCLA, Rutgers. Rutgers, and I was talking about Rutgers over the win total this year. They're on their way. Cleveland have a runner on base now too, so the drama continues. Rutgers are laying 4.5 points here. UCLA, and you called it, Rob, before the year started. I remember about liking the UCLA win total to the under. Foster has no experience as a coach. They bring in Bieniemy as the OC, and cosmetically, it sounds like a great hire if you're UCLA. Wow, we're getting Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator. Yeah, it's like bringing in Bill Gates and teaching a 10-year-old kid how to use a computer and how to build a computer here. Like his playbook, Cam, is insane. It's like 350 pages. It's about discipline and this. It takes years to learn. And you're asking college players to do it on the fly here. Wow, Cleveland got runners on first and second now. Their quarterback's running for his life. But I tell you, UCLA's defense is competitive. They play hard for him. I tell you that. They do like Foster. I got a soft spot in my heart for this UCLA team. They do play hard, but this cross-country trip is going to kill them. Rutgers are 4.5, and you brought up Cignetti here. Coach Bowden brought up playing for his father, actually. And knowing Cignetti since he was a kid, they're 6.5-point favorites against Nebraska. Man, I've been talking a lot about Rourke and the Hoosiers. They're relentless, Rob, this team, man. Their offense is lethal.
Yeah, they really are. Credit to Kurt Cignetti for what he's done there, bringing half JMU with him and what he's done with that team. I just think that Matt Rule is the guy, Gabe, that last year in Game 2 of the college football season with a lousy Nebraska team figured out how to stop Shedeur Sanders. Sacked him 8 times. If Nebraska had any quarterback play, I think it was Jeff Sims at the time. And he'll be starting for Arizona State, I think, this week, Jeff Sims. But they couldn't do anything offensively. Then he comes back this year and shuts down Sanders again, even after they had game tape on him. He's a guy with the NFL defensive mind that I think could maybe confuse Curtis Rourke a little bit and maybe slow Indiana down somewhat. And maybe Raiola can do enough to cover the 6.5. I think Nebraska might be the right side, but it's not going to surprise me if Indiana goes ahead and gets another cover. It's just they're in that price range now against decent teams where you have to start looking at the underdog side.
Rob Vino in the house with us. USC Maryland is 7.5. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. We asked about that. All right, Rob, we'll get you out of here, and I'll ask you, say anything in the NFL or a college football game that we didn't bring up that you like. And what about Sunday night? Are the Los Angeles Dodgers going to finish off the Mets on Sunday night, or are we going to die of stress and have to play a Game 7?
I hope they don't make us die of stress, Gabe. They were rolling along so good. But I think that, with the pitching being rested on Sunday, they're probably in good shape. NFL, let's look real quick here because the absence of Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to show right away against Minnesota. And we're going to see if Brian Flores' defensive wizardry is going to show against this Detroit offense. I think 50.5 leaves us 51. That key number open for a ticket cash game. I think that gets over. And I also, real quick here, I said it last week that I think the Colts, until further notice, have to be played over. At some point, Miami's going to score a few. That game is so low, 43.5. I think Miami and Indianapolis go over. And they are going back to Anthony Richardson, which I don't know that that's a great thing, the way Flacco's been playing. But over 43.5 to me seems too low.
Rob Vino. Great stuff as always, Rob. And the New York Yankees survive. They get out of it.
Oh.
They had runners. They had 2 runners on. The Yankees win 8-6. 1 win away from the World Series. 1 win away. Rob Vino, wagertalk.com, robvinosports.com. Always great stuff with Rob Vino. We appreciate his time. So let's get it done, Rob. Go Dodgers.
All right, buddy. Let's get it done. Take care, man. Have a good weekend.
Hey, Rob.
There's Rob Vino with us. All right, we go from Rob Vino, one of his colleagues, Tony Finn. Tony, the Yankees have just won the baseball game, a roller coaster of a baseball game, 1 win away from the World Series right now. What did you have any action on this? Who did you have tonight? I just lost with the Guardians, so I was hoping for a comeback. Didn't happen.
I liked the over in the game, so that was I cashed that ticket. I really didn't like a side. I probably would have been with you on Cleveland, but because I thought there would be quite a few walks tonight, and I thought Gill would be the worst of the 2 starters. Despite the fact that Cleveland looked like they were going to play bullpen anyway, but I liked the over. I caught the over, so one of us won at least.
You know remember the old days? These not elimination games, but big time games. Big time games would be, sort of pitchers duels and intense and stuff. But I thought this game tonight, guys, would be. I didn't. Both pitchers hadn't pitched in forever, right? Since the September 28th and September 22nd. It's a long time not to pitch, and especially now you're pitching in a playoff game. So in hindsight, I'm kind of an idiot for not just hammering the over. Williams got hit early, but I thought that both pitchers would only kind of pitch 2 innings or something. You know what I mean? Maybe 3 innings, etc. And it sort of get to the pen, someone get up 1 or 2-0, and be like, all right, we're going to the bullpen. This game is so important. But the Yankees are just sort of slugging their way through this right now, Cam, and the hope is dead. Cleveland, they're not coming back, Cam, now. I know you were hanging on to hope that Cleveland could come back in the series. They might win tomorrow. I doubt it, personally. I think the Yankees finish them off tomorrow. But if they don't, then I think the Yankees win in 6. Like I predicted the Dodgers win in 6.
Yeah, the problem with the Guardians is, despite playing small ball and they steal and whatever, the Yankees, you saw they did it tonight. Giancarlo Stanton goes deep. They have bombers on their team. You got guys on home runs. It changes everything in the damn game.
Soto hit 2 home runs early in the game.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking. That's what these guys do. Like the Royals won the World Series with small ball, bunting guys over in singles. That's kind of Cleveland's game. They have a little more power, but not even the same hemisphere as the Yankees. It's a problem.
Tony, what do you think about tomorrow's baseball game? Is the series over now? Do you think Cleveland have 1 win left in them?
No, I think they do have 1 win left in them. I don't think that the fact is that if I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I'm with the Yankees. And I'm not a big fan. I think we talked about this last week. I'm not a big fan of the Yankees, not a big fan of the American League who's left and like the Dodgers to win the series now. But, Cleveland surprised me all season long. So we'll find out, but I'm on Cleveland tomorrow.
The Los Angeles Dodgers.
I'm on Yankees tomorrow. My bad.
So you're on the Yankees tomorrow. All right. So, you're on the Yankees tomorrow. All right. Sorry. So the Dodgers are minus 136 favorites on Sunday night.
Yes.
We know Manaea is going for the Mets. We don't really know officially who's going for the Dodgers yet. The total is 8.5. I bet the Dodgers to win the series before the series started. I did lay the minus 188. But I also played them specifically to win in 6 games at plus 350. So now it lines up. I'm kicked back. I have the Dodgers in this game already at plus 350. But if you're the Dodgers, I think this is it's nearly a must-win game for them. You don't want to go to 7 That's when the panic will kick in. The Mets are playing with house money. I do expect the Dodgers, Tony, on Sunday night for their offense to show up and avoid a dreaded Game 7 on Monday night.
I couldn't agree more. Tonight started kind of poorly, we talked a little bit about this, Gabe. We talked about Flaherty, and I was concerned about him the last couple weeks of the regular season, that he's pitched more innings, almost double, a heck of a lot more innings than he's since 22. Since last year, he didn't pitch much, and this, I think it's starting to come into play. If you notice, and I'm sure you did, you're astute. His fastball was about 2 ticks less than what averaged all year long, and he's starting to show some fatigue. I'm concerned a little bit about it. So the Dodgers need to win. They need to win tomorrow or Sunday.
But
and
it can't be.
Go ahead.
I do agree. I do agree with what you're saying. The velocity was a little bit down, but it can't be overstated. It can't be overstated how difficult it is for a pitcher to face the same hitters again 4 days later. You know what I mean?
You're right.
The hitters know the pitcher's stuff, bro. Like, just point blank.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys have come to play. 21-14 Cowboys right now. How about them Pokes? Total 61.5 in this game. We jumped in on the over 60.5 before. And we talked about the Fresno game, Fresno and Nevada. This one is opening up as well. Remember I said, I'm going to jump in on the over 57.5 because I'm going to regret it when they keep on scoring if I don't. And they are. And they're about to score again. I don't want to mush it. But they're about to score here. Fresno State are moving the football. And they have the ball on the 32-yard line. I think this I'm going to get in again here. I'm going in on over 60.5. Going in on over 60.5 here in Fresno and Nevada. Tony, we talked about, we were talking Nevada football a little bit earlier. And this Nevada Wolfpack team been a really big surprise this year. Dude, their win total was like, what was it? It was 1.5, 2. It was like 2.5, plus money or whatever. Nobody thought they were, people were thinking they were going to win 1 or 2 games this team. They were like 28-point favorites at home in their first game of the year against SMU.
Yes. Crazy. And I agreed with most everything that, our peers talked about, said, claimed, and I was on record saying this team is going to be absolutely atrocious. And college football. It's college football. It's good stuff. It's great to see them playing the way they're playing, although I still think that
there's no way you were wrong. That's impossible.
It was impossible. I'm wrong 10 times before noon, but that would have been the 11th time I was wrong that morning.
No, you admit it. You admit, like Cam admitted his Carolina Panther preseason bet, winning 7 games.
You know who hasn't admitted it? Hell, Paul Bovey's got a Carolina over 6.5 ticket under his pillow.
Under his pillow, yeah.
He talks about, I say, hey, dude, you were at the Panthers with me, so I'm not taking this loser pick alone. All those other guys can join the loser club.
Paul's got an obsession with the Tennessee Titans, too, it seems, on a weekly basis.
I don't want to talk to him anymore. He's spinning my mind, man. I don't want to take him anymore.
Hey, just quick thing about the Bills game, guys. About the Bills, I think he keeps saying Cam likes them all the time, too. But this week with the Bills, I think, it sort of lines up. I get the feeling in a way that it sort of lines up for like a Bills ass kicking. Where it's like, sort of like they did against Jacksonville, where it's, Amari Cooper's there. He's going to score a touchdown. It's going to be a big party. James Cook is back. Ray Davis looked great last week, etc. But, I've sort of gotten cold feet about laying the points due to the fact I'm concerned that the Bills, they're going to get to Will Levis and or the Callahan will finally have enough and say, you know what, I'm playing Mason Rudolph. So I don't know. I have a weird feeling that somehow I'm like, man, if I bet on the Bills and I laid 9 points with these guys or whatever, with my luck, Mason Rudolph will end up coming in the second half and he'll backdoor it. That's my concern with that. But I wouldn't be shocked, though, Cam, if the Bills killed them.
I agree with you. But the thing is, what was the only game they won and covered? They beat the crap out of Miami that night when Rudolph came in the game. He was very efficient after Levis made mistakes and almost cost them. It's like he got hurt. That's the only reason they won and covered. It's the only time they've done it all year. Rudolph's better, but they're very stubborn.
They want to see if oh my God, the BYU quarterback threw another interception, but there's no time left. He returned it. He could have returned it for a touchdown potentially. No time on the clock. So Oklahoma State and Oklahoma State Cowboys, guys, they get the ball to start the second half. So we'll get people the updated numbers in this game right now. But Cam, I'll ask you, what are your plays? College football and NFL football. What do you got?
Well, mostly in the NFL. These are games that I bet right now. I'm on with Ranieri tomorrow. We're going to do a lot of live betting. I'm betting way less games at the start, more live, and finding good numbers. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers. I don't care about Mahomes and Andy Reid off a bye, whatever. I like San Francisco in this spot. I like the Seattle Seahawks getting 3. I know this one might be a little bit stupid. I think Miami can cover. I got 3.5. It's now 3. Those are bets that I made. Got a money line parlay with the Bills. What was it? Plus 192. It's what is it? Bills, Washington, and who's the other favorite there, Morency? Who's another big Cincinnati? That's the one. Yeah.
There's Cam Stewart's NFL picks. Tony, what do you college football tomorrow? I asked people on Twitter to ask. Feel free to ask about games. They asked about Miami, Louisville. We didn't get to this one yet. Yeah. The Cardinals are getting 5.5 points on their home field. You look at Miami. Yeah. I mean, all right, so they've had time to rest coming off that Cal game. But at the same point in time, a lot of these Miami games are turning into heart attack specials, right? They survived on the we were talking about bad breaks, bad beats, and all that. You could argue whatever happened in that. That was pretty crazy, the last play of the game with Vautech. And then you had the craziness with the Cal game. They did come back from down 25, but this Louisville team is a good football team. And I've been betting against Miami. Like, I love Cam Ward. I think he's great. But I also think they're overpriced all the time. What do you think of this one, if you've got an opinion on it? Are you betting this game, 5.5 with Miami and Louisville?
No, I agree with how you just outlined Miami. I do think they're typically overvalued. I didn't think they were early in the season, but they keep winning, right? They keep winning. They keep doing just enough to win. But there's something funny, something fishy, I think, about the number. I don't think they're overvalued in this game. I think that's a fair line, but I'm not on them. I'm not on either side of this. Although I do like a couple games tomorrow, not the Miami and Louisville contest.
What do you like, Tony Finn, tomorrow?
I'll give you one. I really like. Listen, I think that Wisconsin's probably at its peak as far as perception and value, market value. They beat a Purdue team that is just not very good. I mean, I want to call them a lot of different, give them a lot of different terms and names and nicknames. But
pathetic.
Well, that's
train wreck.
There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Disgrace.
A dumpster fire.
I
Like that.
Disgrace. I laughed slow.
I think crap ass was the best one, actually.
Yeah,
crap ass. They're crap.
Yeah,
They're terrible. But all right, go on, Tony. Yeah.
I mean, that's all right. They win 52-6. I think they beat Purdue. Doesn't mean a thing. Wisconsin. They beat Rutgers 42 and to change is single digits 42-6, I believe. But the Scarlet Knights were missing a couple key defensive players in that game. Here's the deal. I like Northwestern. Northwestern's going up. I think it's way too many points for Wisconsin to be giving Northwestern in North Chicago.
All right, I've got 7 college football plays to share with you on the other side.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallize Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, I've got some college football picks for you. We're running out of racetrack here. Let's do this thing. I am Gabriel Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. I'll be back at 8 o'clock Eastern on Sunday night for the Russell Wilson Bowl, the Russell Wilson return, and of course, the New York Jet game. And the Dodgers and Mets will be playing at the same time. All right, so here are my best bets, college football. We got to get to this Georgia game, man. It's going to be some fun stuff tomorrow. Great day, great afternoon and evening of college football tomorrow. But the Texas Longhorns are up to minus 5-point favorites right now over Georgia. It's just too many points to lay. I think that this is a football game that's going to be one of those whoever has the ball last wins type of game. So give me the Georgia Bulldogs plus 5. I'm going to go over the number in this game as well. I think the total's I'm surprised it's actually only 57. So give me over 57. Give me Georgia plus 5. I'm going to take Arkansas plus the 2.5 against LSU. And I'm also going over 57 points in Arkansas and LSU. Let's go over to 57 with Alabama and Tennessee. And also, we're going to go with Alabama as well. And we've got a lot of noise going on here. Is there, Greg, do you have a mic on or something here? I'm trying to talk through it, but now it's just pissing me off here. There's a lot of static, this and that.
Something's going on. Somebody close the key.
Is it Tony's noise? What's going on? Shut Tony's mic down? Somebody? Is it you?
Not me.
I think you heard it, Cam. Yeah, at first I was trying to talk through it. Like, all right, guys, just shut the F up. Like, you know what I mean?
It sounded like somebody's having throwing cutlery into a window or something.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like, I know, man. I don't know if these people are cooking craft dinner or something, Cam, when we're doing the show here. I don't know what the hell is going on. All right, so.
Cooking craft dinner.
I'm telling you, man, it's always something. Everybody be quiet. So, a lot of noise here. Total 57 in the Alabama game. We're going over the number. I'm going Alabama to beat Tennessee. Arkansas plus the 2.5 over 57. All these 57s. Georgia and Texas over 57. Georgia plus the 5. Let's lay the 4 points with Missouri to beat Auburn. I'm going to take the 5.5 points with the Louisville Cardinal against Miami. I'm going to lay the points with Rutgers, minus 4.5 with Rutgers. I'll make it 4. I think Indiana are going to roll Nebraska. I'll lay the 6.5 there. And I think the Michigan Wolverines will get it done. I like the quarterback change to Tuttle. And Michigan gets it done against Illinois tomorrow. The spread has actually climbed up to 4. I'll do a video and I'll have more. In the NFL, I like a lot of stuff in the NFL this week, guys. But as far as sides are concerned, I like the Green Bay Packers to beat the Houston Texans. We'll lay the 3 with the Packers. I love the Indianapolis Colts this week. You got Richardson back. Listen, Flacco and Richardson. Flacco's better than Richardson because he's a vet, but Richardson's a load to deal with. And Miami are a bunch of soft-ass wuss bags, all right? They're not going to want to deal with some big-ass quarterback running over them. Miami tap out. They're quitters. Their offense, they score 12 points a game, guys. Like the Dolphins, I like the Colts here. Colts at home, minus the 3. I don't care if Sirianni gets into it with anybody. The Giants suck, okay? You bet the Giants at home, you deserve to lose your money. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles, minus 3. I like the Seahawks, Falcons, over the 51. The Bills will beat the Titans as long as Mason Rudolph doesn't come in. They should cover. I like the San Francisco 49ers. And I like the Monday night games a lot, actually, guys. I'm on the Buccaneers and the Arizona Cardinals. Any NFL for you, Tony?
Love Arizona.
Yeah, I the Bills. I'm on the Bills. I listened to what you're saying about it earlier. I have no issues at all laying those numbers. I mean, they're throwing for about 135 yards a game. Bills all night long, all day long.
Buffalo Bills all night long in a blowout win. Says
it's a song.
Tony Finn.
Lionel Richie. Yeah.
Man, what a cool wild day we're gonna have college football. I'm gonna have a ton of more picks. These are just the big time games that got my eye. Baseball tomorrow is at 8:00 at night, guys. It's a night game. The Yankees, Carlos Rodon, minus 120. Bybee, not Bieber, but Bybee, goes for the Guardians once again, plus 100. The total is 7.5. And as we stated earlier, the Dodgers are minus 140 favorites, even though we don't know who's going to be pitching for them yet against Manaea. I say the Yankees finish the series off tomorrow, and the Dodgers finish it off on Sunday. Other than that, you're on your own later.